of months ago, and of course the rising prices of fuel. But now the opposition has got yet another tool to attack the government with and to corner the government. The Pegasus story that has now come out. There are parts of it which have come out, there are parts of it which are yet to come out. So what is going to be the government strategy in this parliament session? What is going to be the opposition's floor strategy? And which way do you see this session going, given the fact that there are so many issues which are points of contention? Moushumi Gupta, who tracks the government for us, who tracks parliament for us, is with us in this episode of Government Matters. So do start sending in your questions for her. Moushumi, so what happened in the House today? I mean, as we did know it would be a stormy session, but the Pegasus story has made it even stormier.
Yes. And I mean, it was the first day of the monsoon session and it started on a really rough note. The Prime Minister in both the houses, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, he could not even introduce the new ministers who have taken charge, with the opposition disrupting the entire proceeding over a host of issues. The Congress, for instance, was shouting slogans against price hike, against fuel price hike. The Trinamool was also, shouting slogans. Even in the Lok Sabha, when the Prime Minister got up to introduce the new ministers, newly inducted ministers, he could not do so, prompting Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to say that it's a very sad day, because, I mean, it rarely happens, it has never happened that a Prime Minister could not even introduce the newly inducted ministers to the House.
Right.
One of the reasons for the disruption was also the Pegasus hacking controversy, which the opposition has been, it has been raking inside and outside the House since last night, when the report was released by a consortium of global media organizations.
Right. In fact, former Congress President Rahul Gandhi has been tweeting about it, for a few days now. Of course, not mentioning the reason earlier, but very clearly pointing towards the Pegasus snooping controversy. All right. So, Moushumi, I have many questions already, so I'm not going to take up any more of your time with my questions, and I'll move straight to our viewer questions. This one is from Balraj Parmar, who was a new member of our YouTube community. In fact, all of you can become members of the Print's YouTube community. Our membership is now open. You need to pay rupees 159 a month, and we'll have many special perks, many special benefits for you, including early access to our video properties, also to Cut the Clutter, which is our flagship video property. So Balraj Parmar wants to know, what are the major bills that the government is looking to get passed in this session? So let's talk about the legislative business.
Ruhi, the government has listed as many as 30 bills to be taken up in this in this monsoon session of the parliament. So these include the DNA technology bill, the juvenile justice amendment bill, the assisted reproductive technology bill, the National Institute of Food Technology bill, the marine aid and navigation bill. In fact, Ruhi, today in the Rajya Sabha, in the afternoon session, the government took up the marine aid and navigation bill, but it could not be, it was just introduced and discussion had started, but it had to be discontinued because of the opposition disruption, and the House was adjourned till tomorrow morning.
Right. Okay. This is from Omkar Darpe. Why are the sessions being adjourned regularly? Won't this hamper the efficacy of Parliament? So, Moushumi, we've increasingly seen this. It's not just under the Modi government. It's also been in the UPA government when BJP was in the opposition, that Parliament is becoming increasingly unproductive when it comes to the number of hours which are put into legislative business. Is that a trend that is worrying?
It is worrying because, Ruhi, the Parliament is a very good, both the upper house and the lower houses, they are a very good platform for discussion on legislative business, on the policies that the government has framed. And if it's so fractious, as in opposition continuing to disrupt the houses, you lose out on that platform to discuss on these issues. I mean, be it the farm laws, be it the price hike, be it the fuel price hike, be it the COVID situation. I mean, you lose out on an important opportunity to question the government on its handling of the situation. For instance, the opposition party has listed, and in the run-up to the meetings before the monsoon session started, the opposition, the Congress, had said that they would take up the issue of COVID management by the government during the second wave. So it's a very important topic, and the government and the opposition is well within its right to seek answers.
Right.
But then if there is no discussion, if the House doesn't meet and doesn't discuss it, not only do the opposition but the country also lose out, because
Right.
you don't get to know the government's response, as in how the government has handled it.
Yeah, rushing to the well has become, instead of, an extreme situation, it seems to have become the new normal in Parliament. All right, okay, Pranav, IJR009 is the handle. Will the situation brewing in Afghanistan be discussed? So that's an important neighborhood development.
As of now, it has not been listed, Ruhi, in the business. But because this monsoon session is on till August 30th, so maybe it will come up. Some members would like to have a discussion on that issue as well. But as of now, the issues that have been listed for discussion includes the COVID management, the government's vaccination strategy, the petrol price hike, and the farm laws. The farm bill is an important issue which many of the opposition parties, including the Shiromani Akali Dal, have listed for discussion.
Right. Okay. This question is from Anmol. What is Rahul Gandhi's statement on Pegasus? So read between the lines.
As of now, Ruhi, Rahul Gandhi has not made any official statement, though he did tweet that, and very cryptic tweet at that this is what he has been reading. So also today, when he was going to the Lok Sabha and reporters questioned him on Pegasus, whether the Congress would break up the issue, he said that the party will take up the issue, but let's first go inside the house and see. So that was again neither here nor there.
Right.
But the Congress has come out in the open and said that they are going to take up the issue, as also the other opposition parties. In fact, Ruhi, 3 opposition parties, the CPM, the Aam Aadmi Party, and basically they have moved notices under Rule 276 to have a discussion on this whole Pegasus controversy.
Right. In fact, if you want to try to make sense of Rahul Gandhi, as Moushumi said, cryptic tweets, there is a story by our colleague Fatima Khan on our website, ThePrint.in. You can read it to try and, as I said, read between the lines of Rahul Gandhi's tweets. All right. Okay, Rajesh, will any action be taken against the TMC leaders who protested against fuel hike?
No. No action has been taken as of now, and no action will be taken, because like the other opposition parties, they were also raising this issue of fuel hike inside the house.
Right. Okay. This is a question from Sankalp, who's also a new member of our YouTube community. Thank you, Sankalp. The factoring regulation amendment bill is critical bill for MSME. What are the chances of it going through?
Right now, Ruhi, the way it is, it looks highly, right now it's not very clear if the 30 bills that have been listed in the business for this monsoon session, would they be able, some of them would definitely be introduced, but would they be able to pass it because of the disruption? Right now it's very difficult to tell. Like I said, that in the afternoon Rajya Sabha session today, they took up the navigation, the marine aid bill, but they could not continue because of the disruption.
Right.
The marine aid and navigation bill.
All right. Tanveer Panjwani, is the current opposition doing the same thing that the BJP was doing when it was in opposition? So, that's, as I said, this has been a trend that's, we've witnessed over the past 15 years or so.
Yeah, but now it has, in the last 1 year or so, it has increased, I think. Even in the last session, Ruhi, the House could barely function because of continuous disruption by the opposition party. In fact, in the winter session, when the farm bills were passed, the bills were passed, and the opposition has staged a walkout. There was no opposition. Opposition had boycotted both the houses, and the farm laws were passed. So, which is not a very healthy sign. As in, you need a discussion when such important policies, important legislations are being passed by the government.
Right. Okay. This is Kumar Verma. Do you think the data protection bill will become an act soon?
Not likely, because right now the Joint Parliamentary Committee is going through it, and the Joint Parliamentary Committee is yet to submit its report. So once the JPC submits its report, the procedure is that it will go to the IT Ministry, they will go finalize the bill, it goes to the cabinet, and then it will again come up in the Parliament. So unlikely that it will become a law, I mean,
anytime soon,
right, during the monsoon session.
Okay, this is a question from Gurbani. What was the conclusion from today's session? So I think the larger question is that does it set the tone for the rest of the session, and how stormy and perhaps unproductive the rest of the session is likely to be?
Yeah, it sets the tone. And also, Ruhi, one thing that we saw on the first day of the monsoon session is that this time the opposition is very combative, though still there was no coordination, because I mean in both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha the opposition was protesting, but the opposition parties were protesting over different issues. The Trinamool was protesting about the Bangladeshi origin of Minister of State Home Affairs Nishit Paramnik. Congress was protesting over Pegasus, over fuel price hike. The CPIM was protesting over something else. So there was no coordination per se among the different opposition parties, but the opposition parties came across as very combative in taking on the government.
Right.
And also this could be because, I mean, before the monsoon session started, there was a coordination committee meeting headed by Sonia Gandhi of the opposition parties, where they decided on the opposition strategy, on the issues that the opposition will rake up, including the Congress.
Right. In fact, Moushumi, you know, we've had these discussions in earlier episodes of Government Matters when Parliament sessions have begun or ended, that you know, the one big problem with the opposition when in this government has been lack of a coordinated floor strategy, especially in the Rajya Sabha, where it can possibly corner the government given the numbers. So is that a concern for the opposition in this session as well?
Going by what we saw today in the House, it could be an issue, unless of course the opposition, you know, meets and, you know, re-strategize their moves, because they have been combative. That is one thing, but the thing is that with no coordination, I mean different opposition parties protesting over different issues. Right. I mean, you need, if you have to corner the government, you have to focus. You know, yeah, there has to be some cohesion in your strategy. In the all-party meeting also on Sunday, yesterday, the Prime Minister said, and the government said that, you know, the Prime Minister is going to, you know, address the two houses on the government's vaccine strategy and on the COVID management. So there also the opposition parties said that, you know, they rejected the government's offer, and they said that the Prime Minister has to address the floor of the House, of both the houses. So, I mean, the opposition has been very combative, but there needs to be much more cohesion in the issues that they rake up.
Right, okay. From Shikhar Tanwar, who's also a member of our YouTube community, how will BJP floor leaders manage the House, because the opposition leaders are in a combative mood? Will this be a test by fire for Piyush Goyal as RS leader? So yeah, it's a difficult situation for Mr.
Yeah,
Goyal.
because Piyush Goyal has been named the leader of the House in Rajya Sabha in place of Thawar Chand Gehlot. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how the, you know, ruling party manages the floor, how they reach, how Piyush Goyal and the other leaders, the deputy leader of the House, Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, reaches out to the opposition to ensure that, you know, important bills don't get disrupted because of the opposition ruckus. Right. So it would be interesting to see how he manages.
All right, this is from Shahwez Ali Khan, another member of our YouTube community. Does it suit the government to save its face that the House remains in chaos and keeps adjourning from time to time? So, you know, in a way, does it suit the government? No discussion needed, no explanations needed to be given, as long as there's chaos in the House.
No, I don't think, Ruhi, the government would need the House, I mean, would want the House to continue, because, you know, it also holds up important legislation. Right. I mean, there are some 9 bills which are pending. There are some 6 ordinances that needs to be converted into, you know, legislations. So if the House is disrupted, if the House does not function, I mean, those things continue to, I mean, get stalled.
That's
so
true.
Even the government would want the House to function, so that, you know, important legislative business gets done.
Right. Okay. This question is from from Sankalp, another YouTube member of The Print. Should the government pass its bills despite disruptions? How would voters react to this? So we've seen in the past that this government has passed bills, even if the opposition has not been on board, especially given its strength in the Lok Sabha. Is that a strategy they can employ in this session as well?
I don't think, Ruhi, I mean, after the experience with how the farm laws were passed, the government would again, push through legislation in the absence of the opposition parties from the House, the opposition parties boycotting the House. I mean, that's not a very
healthy way to do it.
Healthy way of passing important legislation like this. But one has to wait and watch how the session pans out, if the disruption continues or the opposition or the ruling party reaches out to the opposition and manages to convince them that they would allow healthy discussion in the House, and ministers and including the Prime Minister would answer in the floor of the House on issues like COVID management, vaccine strategy, the Pegasus the hacking controversy.
Right, okay. This question is from Omkar Singh. Is the Congress changing Adhiranjan Chaudhary? So this has been a big question. Now it has been almost decided. It has been decided, Ruhi, that Adhiranjan Chaudhary won't be changed during the monsoon session. Right. A meeting was held in the Congress headed by Sonia Gandhi, where they made it clear that he is going to stay. Maybe after the monsoon session, the Congress might decide to replace him with some other leader, but we don't. Not as of now.
Yeah, not as of now.
Okay, Dev Pratap Singh, can we see an investigation in the Pegasus spyware case?
As of now, the government has not indicated anything of that sort, though IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw today made a statement in the floor of the House, floor of the Lok Sabha, where he said that, it's a controversy that has been created to malign the government, and there is no factual inaccuracy. Similar issue was raised earlier also, but not much came out of it. So the government was pretty aggressive in its defense, but at this point of time, it does not look like that they are going to order an investigation in this issue.
In fact, our colleague Neelam Pandey tells us that former Union Minister Ravi Shankar
Prasad is going to hold a press conference at 5:30, where they are going to,
address the issue.
Address the issue and what would be the government's, what's the government planning to do on this.
All right. So Moushumi helping us understand what happened in Parliament today and how it sets the tone for the rest of the session, which is expected to be stormier than what the monsoon session was likely to be before the Pegasus spyware story hit. But do keep tracking us at The Print for the latest on the Pegasus controversy. We'll bring you informed updates, and we'll bring you updates as to who's saying what. Do keep tracking our website as well as our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.